What's going on, guys? Callsign Rice here, back in with another video. Today I'm actually joined with Anthony from Strike Entertainment. We're going to be doing an interview basically on how he started into Airsoft and his journey through, just playing the sport and how he basically got into it. So Anthony, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so as Garrett just said, I'm Anthony from Strike Entertainment. You guys know who I am. You guys have seen me a bunch of different times. I'm really excited to actually kind of answer some of these questions, considering that I won't say I have a unique story into getting into Airsoft, but I definitely have an interesting one, I'd like to say. Yeah,
so Anthony, if you basically want to start off and just tell us about how you really got into the sport, who really introduced you to it?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I didn't really have someone specifically that introduced me to the sport. It was just from my upbringing. I come from a military family, so I was always kind of exposed to that type of lifestyle of, military, and I was raised how to use guns from a young age. And I'm trying to remember. I think the first airsoft gun I ever got was I think I was 7 or 8, honestly, but it wasn't one that you would use at a field. It was one of the clear springers. I ended up getting it from helping my mom and dad in the yard, for yard work, and that was kind of the reward as we went to Walmart. It was probably a $50 gun. We didn't even have BBs for it. It was just because it was fun to run around with. And we'd play toy dress up in Army and the yard and all that. That was just kind of how I grew up. So that was my first ever airsoft gun I ever bought. But as I got older, I ended up going to an airsoft game with a bunch of my friends in the woods. When I was in 8th grade, it was with a really crappy, low-powered AEG that I got from Dick's Sporting Goods. It was an old HK 416. That was a lot of fun. I wish I could do that again with my friends now, because I definitely have a lot better gear than I did, when I was in 8th grade. And then lastly, I got my first airsoft gun when I was a freshman in high school. I bought it off of eBay. VFC Avalon Saber Gen 1. It's the one without the MOSFET. And now I'm here, honestly. It's kind of an interesting story.
That's awesome. So how long have you basically been playing?
If I would say how long I've been seriously playing, it's been since my sophomore year of high school. I didn't have a GoPro at the time, so it was kind of something that I had eventually worked up and saved money for. So I have actually 2 or 3 years under my belt of playing, or no, probably closer to 2 years of serious play time before anything was ever filmed of me. So I kind of got to learn kind of the ins and outs. I started playing at Troy, my sophomore year, did my sophomore year and then all of my junior year, and then I got my GoPro for my 18th birthday, and then that was once I kind of started doing some of the YouTube stuff. That's kind of why I wanted to get into it. I thought I was good at the sport. I'm all right, and I just thought it'd be fun to kind of make videos for it.
Awesome. So if you guys don't already know, Anthony has a YouTube channel, Strike Entertainment. I'll leave that linked in the description below. But basically, Anthony, I want you to explain sort of how you got into content creation and, how the journey has been so far and what you honestly think of airsoft content creation in Massachusetts and how you've really gone through the journey of building up your fan base.
Yeah, so I would say the content creation part is a lot of fun. I think growing up, I had always had just kind of that, not natural, but just interest in making creative stuff. I had always enjoyed watching movies. My dad exposed me to watching various variety of different types of movies with various actors and themes and genres from a very young age, and I just kind of naturally just found it entertaining. And then as I got older, as I said previously, I wanted to kind of create something out of the hobby that I was doing, and so I got interested in the film or the content creation side just because I had seen it on YouTube mainly, and because I thought it would be fun. I really started it just because I thought it was fun, and I remember telling my mom that I got a GoPro so I could kind of show her what I did, because I'd always come home after playing on the weekends and I would always tell her all of my stories of I did this and I did that. And for someone who doesn't play the sport, big credits to my mom, because she really still doesn't understand much of what I do, but she pays attention enough to get into it because she sees that it's important to me. But it's, as people can imagine, it's really hard to understand and visualize mentally what someone's talking about when you don't even know what it is. So I got the GoPro to kind of show her that, because I was kind of proud. I'm this is cool. I'm relatively good at it, and I think it's entertaining. And that's kind of how it started. I remember making my first ever montage montage, I put that in air quotes, back, I think it was like October of 2019, and it's still up on my channel. I edited it in one night, and it's pretty obvious that I did because it's absolutely ass. But it's definitely one of those just OG memories, which is why I left it up. It's like the first ever video I ever made, and it kind of just went from there. I continued to just get on the grind. I took a break from the content creation side because I really didn't understand the, I would say, seriousness or the dedication to being able to do this well. I just kind of assumed, oh, hey, I just post stuff on here and it's going to just gain me views and followers. And I was very, very wrong. It wasn't until probably, last summer, I think, is when we really kind of picked it up and became like seriously consistent content creators. Oh, I completely forgot that I did YouTube before that, but that's irrelevant. It wasn't Airsoft. But yeah, I kind of then got more consistent into it because I realized, hey, there's potential that I could really do something with this considering how passionate I am. And when I met Garrett, this wasn't last summer, this was 2 summers ago.
It might have been, no, it was last summer.
Well,
because I started last summer.
Well, last summer would have been like 4 months ago.
Or not, oh yeah, I guess it was 2
I know,
summers
right?
ago.
Like, geez, it's been 2 summers now, wow. Once I met Garrett, I kind of was what pushed me to then go not the extra mile, but I realized, hey, I think there's some serious potential to do something with this, and I want to see where it goes. And we filmed, what was our first video we really did together? It was like a real video, was the loadout video, right?
Yeah, we did the Zoom call just introducing ourselves, and then we did that loadout video, and it kind of blew up. People liked it. Yeah,
it's got like 3,500, something like that. It's not being put out as much because people get pissed off by the titles, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But
yeah,
that's kind of when it really, I wouldn't say took off, but that's when I started the dedication side. I was really dedicated to trying to be somewhat consistent, putting stuff out. And I would say from where we started at like, I think it was 65 subscribers to now, I think just under 2,700, there's been a massive amount of growth, quite literally, as you can see, and also just mentally really getting down to, as you do something repetitively, understanding the ins and outs of how to do this. I guess that doesn't make much sense, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so I also wanted to go back into the sort of context of the loadout video. We, as creators, Anthony and I both, we get a little bit of griping for the gear that we run for the Amazon stuff. And Anthony, I wanted to get your opinion about basically Amazon gear, and I want you to go over your loadout and sort of how it served you in terms of quality and, use.
Okay, yeah. So as you just said, we get a lot of stick for it because, and we've addressed this in so many other questions, so I'll try not to repeat myself too much, but people just assume that you need to spend large amounts of money on really like fancy or expensive gear in order to do well, I guess, or to be effective or whatever. And that's really not the case. I mean, I think we talked about this in the Q&A video that we did. It's just, you can wear whatever you want. It's not going to make you really any better. It will help complement you in some ways, but having, a $800 Cry Precision JPC compared to a $30 Amazon knockoff, chest rig, if someone doesn't know how to use it or put it to use effectively, it's not going to make any difference. And I beat myself up personally because I'm very indecisive, that's the word. Indecisive when it comes to my gear. I'm always seeing things that I want to change, and I always are finding new, and it's stupid because I keep spending more money on things I probably shouldn't be spending it on. It's not worth it. Like, I got a new back panel, when in reality, the back panel that I have now on my plate carrier is used, it can be used and utilized, but for some reason I want to change it. It's stupid. I don't know why I do it. I'm just dumb, but I'll admit it. And it works for me. I don't know why. My kit hasn't really changed all that much. Like, my plate carrier has stayed the same since that loadout video. It's stayed pretty much the same. I've kept the same pretty much setup. My belt constantly changes because of how I like to arrange things on my belt. I used to kind of run the dump pouch. Now I've kind of gotten rid of it because I don't like it dangling. I find it annoying. And I've gone back and forth between my holsters, but that's because I use my belt more than I use my plate carrier. I run things on my hips, which is probably not a good thing. It's changed over time just because it's personal preference. And I think a lot of people forget that. There's a lot of personal preference that goes into when you build your loadout. Yeah, and really going off of that, I personally run a Safariland 6360, and I love it to death. But I mean, Anthony runs a pretty cheap replica holster, and to my understanding, Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, it serves you equally just as well. And I mean, even if you don't use your sidearm as much as I do, I mean, even cheap gear works just as well. You don't have to have the craziest stuff. And you can also get creative with it. And I think that was another really kind of, I wouldn't say eye-opening, but it was definitely cool to see the creative side of it, because the holster that I have that I'm running, the drop leg, or not the drop leg, it's a mid-ride style holster, is actually a combination of 3 different pieces of a holster that I have, that I kind of like jerry-rigged together, ran it through my belt. So it's 3 different pieces of a holster all put together, and it was probably no more than, I don't know, $80 altogether.
Yeah, so basically what Anthony did, I mean, he's spending around like $80 for his holster setup, and he has versatility with his holster setup versus mine, which is maybe $150, $160, and it's a singular holster. I mean, yes, I can mount a QLS plate to it and move it around wherever I want to, but basically Anthony can run it on whatever platform he wants to without having to spend money on the extra parts. And I mean, that also goes into my belt. I mean, versus where I spent maybe another $150 on a belt, Anthony just has a belt where he can just throw it on and do whatever he wants to with it, where mine's a little bit more restrictive in terms of how I can run it and what I can put on it. So that really goes to show. I mean,
I was going to say that made me think of it when it comes to like the belt difference, is that I try and go the line of being modular, is that because I want to maintain that freedom to change things, because I'm indecisive. If I want to take something off, I don't want to have to completely redo my belt each and every time. I just slide something off, move it around. I want to move it to a different location. I want to take it off and just completely get rid of it. I want to get rid of my dump pouch, for example, or I want to throw on a med kit, or I want to change out my holster to use a different style holster. Like, I want to keep that modularness to it, because I don't want to add anything that gets all over extra complicated. I don't need to do that.
Last question wrapping up here, Anthony. So a lot of people think airsoft is just LARPing and playing toy guns, which it really is, but people don't really believe that there's a beneficial side to it. And I want to ask you if you think that there's anything that airsoft has really helped you with in life, or if there's any like benefits to playing.
Oh yeah, totally. I would say it completely depends, and this is going to be very much an opinionated question, as is most of this video, because some people are not going to agree with this, which is fine. However, I think the things that people realize that they're, I wouldn't say benefiting from, but they're learning, is it's completely separate from the actual, it's not like I'm learning how to handle a weapon or, combat tactics, which you are in a sense, but that's not the important stuff that I like to focus on. It's more of the structure of, I would almost say kind of like a miniature chain of command, but it's more just, it teaches people how to follow procedural steps and take orders from people without constantly, it allows people to get a finite set of directions and how they're able to follow them. They're learning procedural knowledge, I think is the best way I could describe it. I feel like a lot of people who are not in, let's say, law enforcement or military, there's very select occupations that are out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, where it's very much a, hey, you need to do this, and there is no if, buts, or if, ands, or buts about it. It's kind of like, go do this. Like, there's no arguing, whereas let's say if in an office, you can kind of have that more creative freedom of, well, have you thought about this? It's more, do this, that's an order. And that's really helped me, let's say, from like my ROTC on that side. I mean, that's completely separate, but it's more of a, I'm in ROTC because I've been growing up in the military and this is something I want to do. But those pieces of how to follow direct orders has kind of helped me because of that also experience in airsoft, because it's just, I'm trying to find a better way to describe this, but it's helping with that procedural knowledge, as well as thinking on the fly, thinking under pressure. If you're in a pressure situation, let's say where you're trying to, let's play a bomb game, for example, and you're held down on an objective and you're constantly getting shot at, whatever, and you can't really think. It's learning how to think through that roadblock that's being put in front of you to be effective, to ultimately like win you a game, or how to go take an objective, or how to think 10 steps ahead. That type of stuff that is useful in life, I think, and I think a lot of people end up overlooking that. Yeah,
and I mean, it really goes to show, because like basically when you start playing airsoft, you're obviously going out just having fun, but I mean then you see maybe a couple years later and you're basically using tactics, you're learning how to manipulate on the field and reloading, all this other kind of stuff, and it goes to show the huge difference that it makes of playing over the years and the changes that are made.
Yeah, it's something that you can learn some very cool life lessons as well as social skills, learning how to interact with people who you've never met before and how to conduct yourself in a professional manner while also enjoying a hobby that you guys are both out there doing.
Exactly. All right, so this is going to wrap it up, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. It was really good to interview Anthony on this. I think this is something that a lot of people have been wondering about and have wanted to learn more about us as creators. Anthony, I appreciate you coming on to answer these questions for me. It was a good time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And Anthony's actually going to be asking me relatively the same questions on his YouTube channel. Make sure to go check him out on Strike Entertainment. We also actually created our own airsoft team recently. Go check us out. Our website will be linked in the description below, and I'll see you guys later.